a lot of the organic stuff that you see today, I mean, there have been some really massive fraud on organic designations, on organic food. There was, well, first of all, why do I want organic food? I want organic food because it's really the one thing. Organic became really, really popular in like the 70s. And I just poo-pooed the idea at the time,
Yeah.
I mean, people,
it's like hippie stuff.
Yeah, it was like, oh, organic, wonderful Mother Earth, and we're taking care of the planet. And everybody was doing that. They tended to be like potheads and stuff like that. There were people wearing organic clothing.
Yeah, they got like hemp shirts on and things like that. It's like, this is ridiculous.
Yeah, I didn't go with any of that stuff. I totally rejected that.
And a lot of it went Eastern too. It was like the same philosophy.
Same thing.
Organic, and we're going to be one with Mother Nature. Very pantheist sort of thing.
Right. But looking now, I mean, I basically, what it comes down to for me is I don't want glyphosate.
Right.
I don't want any glyphosate at all. And I got bad news for you.
Which is a pesticide.
It's a pesticide.
Or no, it's an herbicide, isn't it?
It's an herbicide.
But it kills.
It's an herbicide.
But it kills bugs because it's so bad for you, right?
No. It kills our bugs. Our micro bugs.
Yeah. But I thought that it also killed pests.
Maybe it does.
Just by nature of how it operates on.
No, I looked up the patent on that. Oh. And when Monsanto patented that, they wanted it. They basically wanted it to be an antibiotic.
Yeah.
They patented it as an antibiotic. It didn't work very well for whatever reason, but they found out that it dried out the stuff and, increase their crop that way.
It's a desiccant.
Yep. Right. And then and an herbicide.
Yeah.
And that's when we get the whole GMO thing and everything else. Mm-hmm. But the thing that bothers me about the glyphosate is that it killed my gut. I mean, I've been ingesting glyphosate for so many years that it destroyed my gut. And it took me like, I would say a good year and a half, I think, to really get everything back in order.
Your microbiome.
My microbiome. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And
microbiome.
Yeah, we made that joke already.
It's not a joke. You say it that way.
Yeah.
Yep.
But I have
chimpanzee is another one.
Chimpanzee.
Yeah.
What do I say?
You just speaking casually when you're not thinking about it.
Wait, let me just say chimpanzee.
You say chimpanzee.
Yeah, it's chimpanzee.
It's chimpanzee. It's not chimpanzee.
Not my world.
Yeah, I know.
But I have. I didn't tell you this yet. I have bad news for you.
Okay.
I'm
sitting down.
Okay. The glyphosate. Okay. The problem with glyphosate is that it is so prevalent in so many of our foods because corn is so prevalent in so many of our foods.
Sure.
Right? So it turns out that ascorbic acid, vitamin C, is made from corn.
Really?
It also turns out that Metamucil, which I had introduced to my entire family, like when you guys were young.
Yeah.
Right? You still take it, right?
Yes.
One of the major ingredients in Metamucil is maltodextrin.
Right.
Which is like a filler and it's put in there for texture and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. Okay. It's made from corn.
Okay.
Now, you would think that sounds wholesome, but it's not the kind of corn you're thinking of. We have two kinds of corn that we grow in this country. Mm-hmm. Most of it is not sweet, delicious corn on the cob.
Yeah.
Okay. When I remember back in the 70s, I knew somebody who came from Austria and moved to this country, became a citizen and all that. And I remember when she had to she had to pass the test for the citizenship and everything. It was a really, really big deal for her. And anyway, one of the things it was one summer we went out to Fire Island and we made corn on the cob. And she was horrified, totally horrified. How can you eat that? She thinks Americans eating corn is like the most disgusting thing in the world.
They don't eat any corn.
They don't. No.
Mm. Well, I mean, it's obviously a North American plant, right?
Yeah, but they have corn. Yeah. Well, they grow corn, but they don't grow the kind of corn that we eat. She said it's pig food. We feed that to the pigs. We feed that for the animals eat that.
That's interesting.
It's like for cattle and.
So they do have corn in Europe.
And we have corn here. 99% of the corn that we grow here is not for human consumption. It's called dent corn.
Yeah.
Okay,
I've heard of that.
Yeah, I think that's a nickname for it because it looks dried up. It's got like a dent in it. It's so desiccated.
That's why it's called that?
I think, yeah, because the kernels actually are dented.
Okay.
We can look that up. But
it sounds wrong to me.
No,
it sounds too ridiculous.
It's probably got some other technical name.
Yeah.
But I remember, I drove through when I wanted this business trip one time. I rented a car and I drove from, I think it was Grand Rapids, Michigan, all the way down to, I forget what states. I think it was probably Indiana, Illinois, and Missouri, I think. And I went to Kansas City.
Missouri?
Missouri.
Are you from there?
I'm from Missouri.
Missouri? Okay.
Missouri.
Missouri.
They say Missouri. And I went to Kansas City, and I drove through. It's like endless cornfields, just corn that they grow there.
Yeah.
None of that is for consumption. It's this dent corn,
right?
That's used to make high fructose corn syrup, cornstarch, feed, and ethanol.
Right?
Yeah. So there was this guy,
which is in gasoline.
Yeah, they add it to gasoline. Mm-hmm. It's used for that. 99% of all of the corn in this country is for that purpose.
Yeah.
Isn't that crazy? And it happens to be drenched with glyphosate.
Mm-hmm.
So all of the corn syrup, cornstarch, maltodextrin, and ascorbic acid they're making from that. So that those big jugs of ascorbic acid powder that I've been buying is all full of glyphosate.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
So it's basically a jar of glyphosate. And that's why you like the grass-fed beef, too.
I like the grass-fed beef.
Because they're not feeding the cows
Correct.
all that glyphosate-drenched corn.
Correct. But there's a lot of fraud that's going on with that stuff.
Okay.
And one of the biggest cases that's known, here, I'll show you this right here. Just take a look at 50.
Farmer blamed for the largest organic food fraud scheme in American history has died by suicide. Time reports it happened weeks before he was set to report to federal prison to begin a 10-year term. Police found 60-year-old Randy Constant dead in a vehicle in his garage in Missouri. The coroner says Constant died from carbon monoxide poisoning. Prosecutors said Constant falsely marketed non-organic corn and soybeans as certified organic on a massive scale. Time reports his sales equaled up to 7% of organic corn growth in the country in 2016. His corn and soybeans were sold primarily as feed for chickens and cattle. The meat from those animals was advertised as organic. U.S. District Judge C.J. Williams said this fraud did, quote, extreme and incalculable damage to consumers. Prosecutors also revealed evidence that Constant traveled to Las Vegas repeatedly during the scheme to gamble and spend money on 3 women whom he had sexual relationships with. The U.S. attorney in the case said Constant lied to the American public and cheated thousands of consumers, adding for years Constant put personal greed and self-interest above all else.
Yeah, so what this guy did was, this is just one example. There are lots of these all over the place. But this guy, along with 5 other people, he was sentenced to go away for 10 or 20 years or something like that. And he didn't want to do it, so he did away with himself,
Yeah.
So, but all these other guys I guess they went and did time. And he was this wonderful farmer guy with this business that he built up, and this wonderful king of his little community there. And he set it up where he was selling organic feed. I think it was mostly soy and corn.
Okay.
And he was selling it to farmers who would feed it to their pigs and their cattle. And he couldn't possibly grow enough of it. Okay. So he started buying up grain from other places and then reselling it. But he would resell it as organic, and it wasn't organic.
Yeah.
So that means that all of these animals were eating non-organic food, which means the animals are not organic.
Yeah.
So
I get it.
So the USDA inspectors would come and they would, see, they only, and it's not just the stuff that we grow here, it's the stuff that we take in from other countries too.
I wonder how he got away with it for so long.
He got away with it for so long because, well, that's the question. That's the question I bring up. I bring up these USDA inspectors.
Yeah.
And, I don't trust.
Are you saying the government might be corrupt?
I know that the government's corrupt.
Yeah.
Okay. Back in, I used to be in the fruit and vegetable business years ago before I went to Wall Street. And best way to explain it is USDA inspectors are very vulnerable Okay.
Okay.
Let me just explain how it works real quick. Okay. Why would this matter, or how does it matter? A USDA inspector has to inspect fruit and vegetables that comes in. You have all of these terminal markets. This is my experience with it. Okay, with USDA inspectors, we have all these terminal markets. Let's say, I'm going to simplify it. All these terminal market distribution points all throughout the country. So New York has one, the Hunts Point Terminal Market. That's where I was. Detroit has one. Chicago, Boston, Miami, Philadelphia, LA. We have these distribution points for fruit and vegetables, fish, meat too, but fruit and vegetables. So let's say, I'll bring it down to one product. Let's say table grapes. Table grapes from California come in and they get shipped from California and they land in Hunts Point in the Bronx in New York. And it's been subject to all sorts of stuff. Somebody buys it and they have a price set for it and they have to pay that price when it gets delivered. Okay. But that, you don't know what's been packed into that freight car. So we have this system set up where, okay, we can call in a USDA inspector and he will inspect it and it better be what you said. The quality better be what you said it was.
Okay.
So, because let's say grapes are very, very vulnerable. They're vulnerable to even the weather before they're packed into boxes. They could get a lot of rain and then they start to explode in the boxes because they're too wet. There's all kinds of things that can happen. Well, if that grape car comes in filled with grapes that aren't exactly what you said they were, you're not going to want to pay the full price. So what happens is you call in a USDA inspector and he inspects it and he gives an inspection report. And it's got to meet a certain minimum standard. It's got to have like less than, I don't know what the exact numbers are anymore, but can't exceed like 1% decay, and it can't have a certain percentage of what they call shatter, which means the grapes falling off of the stems and all of this stuff. And if it is, you call up the shipper and say, I'm not paying you the full price. Mm-hmm. Okay. So you have a lot of crooks who want to get a USDA inspector to come in and issue a report that suggests that this is not a top quality load, and then you get the price knocked down.
Okay.
So what they used to do, a lot of the receivers, what they would do is they would call in the USDA inspector, and the USDA has an office usually located right there. Call them in for the inspection, and at that time, I don't know what it is now, but at that time, you give the guy $25 or $50, and he would give an inferior inspection report. And then you would get the price down, and then you would sell it for full price as a wholesaler. Or if you get the quality knocked down further, really far, you don't have to pay for it at all. They have their own set of, it's a whole business culture in the produce business where you basically say, okay, we're taking this on consignment now. Now we're just going to blow it out because it's so terrible.
Yeah.
And then you give them back an average price. They call it an account sales. And then you give them back an average price. So a box of grapes that was like maybe $20 in a top market, you get it knocked down. So yeah, well, it was so bad, we sold it out and we blew it out the doors to retailers for like $8 a box. And you didn't. It's terrible. So you have a lot of bribery, graft.
Well, I'm sure it's more than $50 now.
Oh, I don't know what it is now. It's probably $100 or a couple $100.
It's got to be at least $500, something like
that.
But
this sort of practice dominated. It was all over the place. Very vicious, very brutal business.
Yeah.
And you wanted to do business with honest people that wouldn't do that. So USDA inspectors I don't have faith in USDA inspections.
Yeah.
And the stuff that's coming in from that we import a lot of the stuff from Chile, for example. The stuff that comes in from other countries, less than 2% of it is even looked at. So we don't, and we don't know what that is. So the same thing.
What do you mean?
Well, produce, for example.
What do you mean it's not looked at?
It's not even inspected. We only inspect
So we just take their word for it?
We just take their word for it.
I mean, they're inspecting it, right?
Who's they?
Whatever country you're talking about, where it comes from.
Well, yeah.
I mean, somebody is telling you what it is,
right,
from somewhere,
right?
So you're just taking their word for it,
right? So what I'm saying is, we could be getting meat in the same way, subject to USDA inspection. I already know that USDA inspectors are crooked.
Yeah.
Now, is it that way now? I don't know. It was that way.
I don't think the government's gotten less corruct in the past 50 years.
No, it's become bloated and more regulatory and everything else. And I know that now what's secretary, USDA secretary?
Is it Rollins?
Brooke?
Rollins?
Rollins, yeah. She, and I hope she's working with Kennedy.
Yeah, probably.
To get those, I know they're coming out with dietary guidelines at the end of this year or into next year.
Okay.
That are going to be more specific on how they're going to do that, because they're letting a lot of people go out of the USDA. They're getting rid of a lot of these people. Yeah. So you would think, well, the inspections are going to be even less. I don't know. I've got my eyes on that to see what's going to happen.
I remember there was that whole olive oil scandal with Trader Joe's, right?
Oh yeah,
where their olive oil from Italy, extra virgin olive oil,
right,
was not actually extra virgin olive oil from Italy. It was something else. And actually, they were cutting it with canola oil.
Now, I only eat extra virgin olive oil.
Okay.
And I only eat organic extra virgin olive oil. What faith do I have that's actually what's going on?
Yeah, I know.
It's not. I'm not one of those hippy dippy, organic Mother Earth people. This is my own vitality for myself and for my family.
It is pretty amazing that only in the past 5 or 10 years has the sort of organic whole foods movement shifted from sort of a progressive hippie thing,
right,
to, I don't even want to say conservative. It's not conservative. It's just like realistic people,
right?
Because there was a time when and this is all it was, is that you had a lot of posers, is what you had. You had a lot of people who were basically, you could call them hippies, but I don't mean like the 70s hippies. I just mean like that sort of attitude. I met a lot of people like that when I worked at Whole Foods too.
Sure.
They're just like, yeah, we like these things, and we vote for Bernie Sanders and we do these things. So they're just like kind of this down with corporation type person, right? So they go the organic route because they just assume that all these corporations making all these things are evil.
Yeah.
So they want to buy from the farmers market and wear the hemp jewelry and shirts and all that stuff, just because they don't want to support corporations,
right? Because
they think capitalism is evil. So that's what they think. So now you have this new movement that's come around. I guess it's not a new, but it's morphed into more like, wait a second, no, the corporations are in bed with the government, which is allowing them to do all these things, and they're essentially poisoning our food now.
Right.
So you have people who are pro-capitalist who are saying, well, I don't want to eat that stuff. It's just bad for me.
Right.
And that's where we're at now. So I mean, this gut biome stuff, that wasn't even in the vernacular,
not at all.
About 10 or 15 years ago.
I used to get mail from people all the time. I was in charge of answering consumer mail. I was in charge of marketing for the broccoli company.
Yeah.
And I used to get people would be complaining. This is back in the 70s. People would complain, oh, you're putting pesticides in the foods and all that stuff.
Right. And
I would have to work with, it was DeRigo Brothers. DeRigo Brothers of California, and who was run by Andy DeRigo. That's Andy Boy.
Yeah.
That guy, by the way, is the guy on the Andy Boy label.
Mm-hmm.
That's Andy DeRigo. Very nice guy. And he's going to be 100 years old in December, I think.
Living?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Oh, okay.
Eating a lot of broccoli.
Okay.
Guess what?
What?
Broccoli has no glyphosate.
Really?
No, there's no glyphosate on broccoli.
They don't treat it?
No.
Oh, interesting.
No.
Okay.
I used to get mail from people talking, and they didn't know about
the organic broccoli. It's one of those vegetables. Carrots, okay. Green beans, okay. But broccoli, there's so many little places for bugs to hide. I just can't stand the organic broccoli.
I know. But I used to get, people and I used to answer the consumer mail too,
okay.
Right? And anyway, I remember consulting with Andy on that, and he told me basically how to handle it. And he explained to me the whole process. He goes, look, we're not trying to poison anybody. We need pesticides in order to keep the crop yields up. He sent me pictures of, I was actually shocked at how they do it. They had these literally biplanes swooping down on the fields with the clouds of pesticides coming out.
Sure. Everybody knows about that now. Yeah.
Yeah. And so it was a little, I don't know, it's a little frightening to see that.
Uh-huh.
But apparently it's just residue and it gets washed off, but it doesn't really, right? It gets into the food.
It's got to get into
At that time, though, it was DDT.
Okay.
Which is an acronym for some horrible pesticide. It rots your brain. I mean, the Ramones wrote a song about it.
That must be true.
Yeah. Was teenage lobotomy, I think it was called.
Okay.
Yeah, they wrote a song about this teenage kid who had DDT poisoning and it rotted his brain, and he needed a lobotomy.
Yeah.
And after he had the lobotomy, all the girls loved him.
Okay.
That was the song.
All right.
But at that time, people were very concerned about DDT. And of course, I don't use it now. It's been outlawed. But as he explained to me, we're not trying. This stuff is really, really expensive. We're not putting lots of pesticide on the food. So I would have to answer people and answer the questions. And it wasn't because they were concerned about gut biome, microbiome. They were concerned about cancer. They didn't want to get cancer. So we make sure that a lot of the stuff that we put on the fruit and vegetables is not carcinogenous. Carcinogenous?
I don't know. Is that an adjective? Carcinogen.
Yeah,
would be the noun.
Yeah.
So yeah.
But there are other things to worry about.
Okay.
So because if your gut biome is not right, you can get autoimmune diseases and all kinds of things, dementia, Alzheimer's, all kinds of stuff.
Yeah.
So I'm very concerned about that. I don't want that. I don't want my gut biome to be messed up, not by glyphosate. So I'm going to eat a lot of broccoli.
Okay.
Yeah.
Speaking of government corruption, did you see those?
It's a pretty big topic.
Yeah,
it covers a lot of areas.
It actually reaches almost every single area of human endeavor is government corruption.
Yeah.
Did you see those No Kings protests?
I did.
Happening around the country.
Yeah.
Did you see the one on Cape Cod?
No. Well, you or someone told me they saw somebody with signs.
Yeah. Okay. I didn't see them myself. I was not in the area. It happened in Hyannis, which is downtown. But I had friends on Facebook who were posting images who attended with little signs.
Oh, no king.
First of all the signs are vicious. These people are angry people.
Yeah.
They're just angry. They're just whiny and angry.
Right.
But I saw this meme that I thought was really funny. Apparently, the No Kings protests also happened in Canada.
Yeah.
They had a resistance in Canada, too. But in Canada...
Are they against us having a king or them getting a king?
That's the thing. Canada has a king. They have one.
Right, that's what I'm saying.
So they can't have a No Kings protest. They change it to a No Tyrants protest.
Oh, I see.
So they literally have a king...
Well,
but they said, we want to participate, too. So they changed the name from king to tyrant. So it's No Tyrants
Why do they have
protest.
Trump's picture?
Because they're not No, the whole point is they're not protesting their own king.
Oh, I see.
They know they have a king.
Yeah.
So they can't participate unless they change it to No Tyrants. So that's their thing. They're anti-Trump, but they can't call him a king because they have a king, so it'd be hypocritical. So they call him a tyrant instead.
All right.
So it's pretty funny. But they're happening around here, and I'm looking at it, and first of all, total failure nationwide.
Of course.
And you could say it wasn't a failure because they were so peaceful and they started on time and they ended on time. No, that's what makes it a failure for them.
Yeah.
Because that wasn't the point of these. These were not grassroots, organically grown protests.
Right.
Organic. These were designed to sow chaos, and they didn't. So from their perspective, it was a failure. If this were a real protest, it would be a success.
Yeah.
Because you would say, "Oh, great, it was peaceful, it was wonderful," and that's how it should be. But it wasn't. That wasn't their goal to begin with. But I saw the one happening on the Cape, and I'm like, "Who's doing this? Like, is this a real thing?" So I started looking into it. I go to the website. Okay, I found a flyer online. I searched on Facebook, Cape Cod, Hyannis, No Kings protest. Because in my mind, I'm like, how do you even know this is happening? How did these people even assemble?
Right.
I didn't see any advertising
Social
for
media.
it. You would think so. But so I'm like, where? So I search on Facebook. I figure, am I going to find an event? Am I going to find people sharing posts, sharing flyers?
Yeah.
How do they all know to gather? And I found one flyer. And it was No Kings, Hyannis, Rotary, and they had the sponsors at the bottom. And it was sponsored by Cape Cod Women for Change. That was the group running this protest, orchestrating this.
Okay.
Cape Cod Women is what it is.
For change.
So I'm like, that sounds like a feminist group, and they're doing a political party protest. Okay, fine. So I go to their website, like who's funding them? I want to know who's running them, who's funding them, where did they come from? Okay, they're not a group in itself. They're part of a group called Indivisible, which is a nationwide nonprofit. They're a little branch of it. They must have little branches around the country like that. And I look at Indivisible. I find their website. I go to the website about section. Their entire platform is resisting Donald Trump.
Yeah,
that's
course.
what it's.
That's what this is all about.
But that's what it says. There's not even a higher purpose. It's just our purpose is to resist his purpose. Okay. So they're a nonprofit. I go, okay, well, let me look at their funding. I find their EIN number. You can find that stuff online. And I look, and I find I go to. Have you heard of Data Republican?
Data Republican?
Yeah.
No.
Okay, Data Republican is a person on X who has gained a lot of publicity over the past year or so because she is a programmer who tried to anonymously create an X account and share her findings on who's funding all these things. Where's this funding? She uses AI to track it all.
Oh, I see. Okay.
It's very hard to track without.
I'm looking at this diagram.
Yeah, I'm not going to go through the whole thing. Don't worry about it. Don't worry, I won't go through the whole thing.
Thank you.
But so she uses her programming skills to set up this giant database that allows you to see, okay, this nonprofit, where's their money coming from? And you can track it because it's very hard to do by yourself.
Right.
And she gained so much traction doing it. It was so successful that they doxed her. Opposition doxed her. They found out who she was. They wrote articles about her.
Right.
They revealed her identity. She lost her job. I think she worked for Snapchat. She's just a developer. She's just a programmer.
Oh, okay. She's not an activist. She's just a person. Well, I guess
she was doing this anonymously on the side.
Yeah.
She became so big
She's not
that
a professional
she got doxed.
activist. She just
So her identity was revealed, and she either quit or got fired. But she's now doing this full time. She's making a living. She's probably making more doing this,
probably
with the support of people online,
who
are monthly contributions from people like that, than she was there. But although she was a senior level, so she's probably making like $200,000-$300,000 a year anyway. But anyway, so I found Indivisible. She had it right on the website. EIN number. She had a section called No Kings. I went to it. I searched the EIN. Boom, Indivisible project. There it is. And you can see all the entities. Let me see if I can open this in a.
Is each one of these an independent like NGO or are they just?
Yeah, these are all different things. This didn't make it any easier to see.
And they're all nonprofit corporations, obviously. Or maybe.
I'm not sure that they're all nonprofits. Actually, I'm having trouble with this.
I mean, are they formally organized?
The weird thing is some of these are pass-through entities, which is not the right terminology exactly, but they're these big entities like the Aspen Institute and what's another one here? George Soros has one, Open Society Foundation, right? That's an Open Society Institute.
Right.
That's a big one. So, and these are funded by people, like put in, millions and millions of dollars. And then they contribute to entities and where their mission is, okay, we're going to take your money and we're going to do good with it. And how do we do good with it? We figure out who to donate it to.
Yeah.
So it's almost like a pass, like you donate to this one entity that donates to other entities that donates to other entities.
Right.
And these big institutions will also, because their goal, as they say, is just doing good, they'll get government grants.
Yeah, right.
So they get government grants, then they donate that money to an organization that sole purpose is finding good causes to donate to.
Okay.
And then they'll donate it to something like Indivisible, which then funds the No Kings protests. So you actually have government money, government grants, taxpayer money going to funding No Kings protests. That's how it works. But it goes through like sometimes 2 or 3 or 4 levels where you don't even realize it's happening. So, because if you go to the entity that's actually directly getting the government grant, their purpose is like, we do good. We donate to good causes. It's like, you don't see that, oh no, you're 3 levels down, you're funding a protest, political protest. So that's how they do it. So that's how I figured out. I'm like, oh, that's where this came from. There's no organic. And the interesting thing is, you could have that little seed of money and people involved that then, but they know how to attract people organically. So you're funding the seed and then it grows. So that's why you end up with, people, you'll meet people who attend these protests who said, well, that's not true. I went and I just saw a social media event and all my friends went out. I know, but what was the impetus that allowed that to grow in the first place, that allowed you to even see it and join in the fun? It's these organizations.
So it's always follow the money.
It's always follow the money. It's a top-down level thing. And
Didn't they try to tie this in with the military parade, right?
What you mean? How Trump had his Flag Day celebration?
He's Hitler. This is what Hitler would do.
I gotta say, I didn't love it. I didn't love the parade.
We've been having those parades forever. The thing about
I
the
saw a few of them. I saw a few minutes of it. And
I
it was
saw
like,
people,
meh.
try to tie it into no king, and this is what a king does. I said, wait a minute.
Yeah.
Don't you realize that?
It was his birthday.
Yeah, I know.
But a little unfortunate.
But yeah, because that gave them
The timing there, because
fuel,
his birthday is Flag Day, so it's like, okay.
Yeah. So, but the thing is, don't they understand history? Don't they know that the reason why we have no king is because we have a military that protected us and got rid of the king?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like crazy.
But I was reading
because of our army, we were able to prevent a monarchy from happening.
Yeah.
And we have a system. These are people who are absolutely uneducated in our history, American history, and how we're formed in the Constitution. We have a system that prevents a king from ever, even by accident, ever forming.
Right.
We have balance of powers. We have separation of powers, right? We have elections. We have term limits.
Well, he certainly...
For the president, anyway, we need some more term limits.
He certainly encounters a lot of obstacles for someone who they're calling a king.
Yeah.
Like the courts.
That's true.
And the bureaucracy. Excuse me. Sorry. We don't actually have a king. We have a bureaucratic state that's in control, is what it is. So, and he's fighting it.
A king would be able to override all of those bureaucrats and just get his way.
But going back to what I was saying before about how many people were involved, and the thing is, organizations like the CIA have plans for this. This is, and I was listening to Mike Benz. Have you heard of Mike Benz?
Yeah.
He's he does a lot of this uncovering with USAID and the CIA's involvement of it, and how the CIA runs the rest of the world using this money and these channels. And they released a guide in the 1980s. I guess it was classified before then. I'm not 100% sure, talking about how they do things. But this paragraph caught my eye here. He was going through this. Established citizens, doctors, attorneys, businessmen, teachers, etc., will be recruited initially as social crusaders in typically innocuous movements in the area of operations. So when they want to get something done, they want to cause unrest in other countries. This is one of the ways they do it. So they rely on these people. They get them involved in social causes, which might not be directly related to each other on the outside, but so you just get people interested. It's like, yeah, you want this, and you join a group, and yeah, I like these things. When their involvement with the clandestine organization is revealed to them, this exerts psychological pressure on them so they can be used as internal cadres in groups to which they already belong or groups which they could join. So what they find themselves involved in groups that seemed innocuous, but actually ended up pointing toward a higher purpose that was planned from the top down to begin with. But these are normal, everyday people that you've attracted with seemingly social causes. Okay. By the end of it, you have street protests and mass gatherings. Said this can be carried out through a small group of guerrillas infiltrated within the masses who will have the mission of agitating, giving the impression that there are many of them and that they have a great popular support. Using the tactics of force of 200 to 300 agitators, one can create a demonstration in which 10,000 to 20,000 could take part. So you only need a few hundred people who are really into this.
Yeah.
And you get them throughout the community and you attract them and they think they're joining a grassroots movement. They're really not.
They're not.
Then you point it toward a higher purpose. You plan something like this, like Indivisible plans all these protests. And it's not just Indivisible. It's like 3 or 4 different groups and they're all orchestrating this one big protest together. Well, people who got involved with these different groups, they didn't know that they'd be working together with these larger groups and creating this thing. And then all you need is 200 to 300 people on the ground to do this. You could assemble a mass of 10,000, 20,000 people. Yeah, because people just join. People see it and they think it's organic and they get interested, they get excited, and they join in.
So I didn't see it myself because I haven't gotten into Hyannis over the past couple of days.
Yeah.
But had I been driving down there, which I often do, I'd be driving down through the Rotary by the airport down there.
Yes.
And I would see housewives and people and kids and whatever, families with signs.
Right.
Basically protesting Trump.
Yes.
Saying no king.
Yes.
And I'm going to come away with the idea that, well, this is just, this is a grassroots movement of my neighbors.
Yes.
Who are here and
yes.
they're revolting against the president.
Right.
And they just don't, right? They don't want a king.
And for somebody
they're
like
patriots. These are real patriots.
Right. And for somebody like my friend, although honestly, I don't know 100%, but assuming the best intentions from my friend on Facebook,
right?
Not somebody I talk to regularly, just somebody I happen to be friends with on Facebook. They don't know that they participated in an operation.
They think they're here with their neighbors.
They think that they read about this, they heard the news, they heard the buzz, and showed up
highly
to
organized.
show support. And that's
highly and well financed.
And that could be 80% of the people. But they never would have organized into a movement, into a show of force like this, if it weren't for the impetus, if it weren't for the seed planted by a top-down in a top-down method from an organization that's usually taxpayer funded, like the CIA or something like that.
Now, didn't the Biden administration start pumping billions of dollars into this system when Trump won the election before they actually left?
Into which system?
Into this system that you're talking about.
I'm not sure.
Yeah.
I'm not sure.
Okay.
You mean like giving out grants to organizations like this?
Yeah, all kinds of...
I mean, it's been happening for years, so I wouldn't be surprised. Well, the cutting of the grants...
it up.
Probably. I think they might have... they weren't even really being looked at seriously until Doge.
Right.
So, which just started this year.
Right.
So, yeah, but that's how it works. You only need like 5-10%, and that's exactly what it is. If you look at it, it looks like from that chart for like Indivisible, like 10% of their revenue comes from these big groups donating, who ultimately come back to the Aspen Institute and George Soros's foundation, and they're getting taxpayer grants. Yeah. It's crazy.
You know, this guy, they found that they nabbed the shooter in the Minnesota law.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
That's weird.
Lawmaker shooters. Why do they call them lawmakers? It's a congressman, a senator.
I think they're using lawmaker when it's not a clear designation. Like it could be like nobody wants to write assemblywoman.
Yeah, right.
So it's like too confusing. So they just put lawmaker.
Lawmakers.
Yeah.
But they found that guy. They arrested him.
Yeah, in a field or something.
Yeah,
right?
They found him in the woods, I heard.
Okay.
Yeah, somebody had like one of those. He was going through someone's property, and they had those night vision security cameras, and they saw somebody. Yeah, and the guy notified the authorities, and they got him. Okay. But they also found him with a whole stack of no king brochures in his they found a whole bunch of them in the SUV.
Yeah,
in that fake police SUV.
So was he pro it or?
He's got a whole bunch of
kings or
no king flyers.
Yeah, but that could be somebody who's very much against them. Well, I mean, he's already a crazy person plotting to kill people. So if you find him with a bunch of flyers, you would think, hey, maybe this is a target. You know?
He's obviously a no king guy.
No, he's not. That's exactly what I'm saying.
Well, why does he have a stack of flyers promoting no king?
What I just said.
Why? I didn't understand it then.
He's literally targeting people to kill them. Okay?
Yeah.
If you found personal information about the lawmaker he shot and killed,
right,
you wouldn't say he's a fan of her. You say, no, he's plotting to kill her. We already know he tried killing her.
Right.
So for him having a whole bunch of no kings flyers, that doesn't mean he likes it. It could mean they were a target for him.
He obviously has a bunch of flyers that he hopes to distribute to contribute and to promote this no king movement.
He has a bunch of flyers. You don't know what his intentions are.
What's he going to use them for?
He obviously wants to distribute them.
Well, what's he going to do with them?
I don't know what he's going to do with them.
Okay.
He's a crazy man who kills people.
Yeah.
If you found your picture, if you found a stack of photos of yourself in a vehicle to a killer, in a vehicle of a killer, would you assume that he's a big fan of you? Or would you assume that you might be a target of his?
Yeah, but it's not the same thing.
Why not?
Because it's a slogan. The guy is promoting a slogan.
I don't know. Maybe there's information on the flyers. Maybe he planned to go to one of these protests.
We'll have to find out more.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, all I know is I don't see much of that in the news. They're not promoting that.
I think they're waiting to. Well, they're going to wait to see which way it goes.
Yeah.
I saw some stories which say that he had a hit list, like CNN was saying, and on it were like abortion activists. So they're trying to make him a right-wing nut.
Right.
And then conservative media is trying to make him a left-wing nut because he shot and killed the one Democrat lawmaker who was actually voting along with the conservative agenda. So I don't know.
Well, there certainly are a lot of right-wing nuts and left-wing nuts. That's for sure. Yeah. Okay. Anything else?
I think that's it for today.
Oh, I wanted to thank you for my Father's Day gift too.
Oh, the shirt.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I like it.
Well, thank you for having a Father's Day celebration.
Yeah.
Thank you for having me and being a father,
It's a great job.
because I got to have a wonderful steak and potato dinner.
That's why? Has nothing to do with me?
Yeah. No, it has everything to do with you.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right. Thank
All
you.
right.
All right. Bye.
Goodbye.